A teacher is a friend, philosopher, and guide to the students. He or she plays a crucial role in forming, changing, and establishing attitudes and values. A teacher can play the most decisive role to imbibe and spread proper information and knowledge to the students based on balanced presentation of scientific knowledge. A very good morning to all. Myself, Dr. Soumita Chakraborty, is welcoming you to the final discussion session before valedictory of the 5-day FDP program on art and science of effective teaching. The theme of today's discussion is the role of teacher in promoting sustainable development. Today we have with us Dr. Jayanti Datta, Deputy Director and Associate Professor, UGC Human Resource Development Center, Punjab University, Chandigarh, as our keynote speaker. Madam, from the bottom of my heart, I welcome you to this session, and it is a great privilege for all of us to have you among us today. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome to the session. Professor Jayanti Datta did her PhD in zoology with genetics as her area of specialization. She holds a diploma in higher education administration. She is a biologist by training and has been one of the founder members of Department of Public Health in Punjab University, Chandigarh. Her research areas include public health, higher education faculty training program, and scientific popularization. She has been the recipient of first National Award for Direction and Production of the Best Short Film on New Drugs for Tuberculosis by CSIR at Indian National Congress, Kolkata in 2014. She was also awarded by the President of India in the year 2000 for her contribution in literacy mission. With this, ma'am, she has more than 40 research papers in different national and international journals and authored many books and book chapters and 50 book reviews. Not only that, she has developed 4 massive open online courses modules for Swayam portal for Department of Education. And with 23 years experience in faculty training in higher education in UGC Human Resource Development Center under Punjab University, Chandigarh, she has an experience of working with more than 5,000 teachers and of mentoring more than 100 professional development programs. And with this, ma'am, I invite you for today's talk, and I invite you to start the talk. And I hope that with your vast experience and knowledge, you will enrich and guide us in our journey as a teacher. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome to this session. Please, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Soumita Chakraborty. Thank you very much for your very elaborate introduction.
Welcome.
I can see how many participants are there?
Ma'am, there are 39 participants
39
now.
Participants, right. So, and this is the 5th day, the last day of the program, the last session of the program, yes. Right? So, and you have been discussing so many things. Now I don't know if there is something new left to be still said or discussed, right? So that is a little difficult job, but the thing, the topic that you have given to me is role of teachers in
sustainable development,
into sustainable development or teaching sustainability.
Yes.
I have my ideas on it and I would be discussing about it. But before that, I have certain disclaimers, right? So you all know that what are disclaimers? Do all the teachers have idea of what is a disclaimer? Right? Yeah, this is, I think, Zoom platform is a quite easy platform to handle. And I would request, I hope the host has not muted the participants. Can the participants answer?
Technical team, have you muted the
Yes,
have you
ma'am. Ma'am,
muted the
ma'am,
participants?
we are muting.
Okay, okay.
Muted, right? So they can't answer, right?
Yes, ma'am. Now they can answer.
Shivani, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Your voice is not audible, ma'am.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
So the thing is that online programs are in themselves very compromised, right? And of course, if you ask me personally, I don't like to have interactions on online platform because these are it dehumanizes people. It dehumanizes, and also the quality of discussion is not there, because actually when we have these programs, the main spirit of the program is to have a debate, a discussion, a deliberations. But when we have this online thing, it's only like I can pass on some instructions or some directions. If there is some knowledge or something that I would like to just pass on, that is the only objective of these online programs. Otherwise, the very important aspects of having a group of teachers thrashing a subject threadbare, they're discussing about it, its pros and cons, some people saying yes, some people saying no, and presenting your own arguments, defending your points. These are the dynamics of a teacher's group. So those dynamics are missing here. And that is why I would request all of you to kindly switch on your mic whenever it is possible, or if not, then we can also write on the chat and present our views. Because as my disclaimer goes, and I hope all of you understand, disclaimer is something that
Yes,
you
ma'am.
see in on the first slide of a TV serial. It's there on the
Correct.
websites, it's there on the YouTube videos, and on books, on policies, it's everywhere. So disclaimer is when people want to take away the claim. So I also want to take away, I have certain things to say, and I want to take away certain claims. First of all, as I said, it's not a knowledge intensive session. It's not, your knowledge will not be enhanced. I'm sure that whatever you know already, we are going to discuss that. So by the end of this session, if you say that I have not learned anything, then it's not my fault, and the onus is on you. The onus of learning is on you. And the second thing that I would like to place before you is, as I said, it's not technical, not knowledge intensive. It's very common sense, right? And again, I would say, because it's the last day of the session, I hope you have noted down, you have a diary which you have, or a notebook which you have kept with you, and in which you have noted down whatever has been discussed here, right? Whatever the resource persons has said. But I would say, I want you to keep another diary in addition to it. And that diary is called the learning log, right? It's not the what the resource person says and what you write. If you note down whatever a resource person is saying or giving some information, it's a teaching log, not a learning log. Because a learning log is something which is different for every participant. It's different for every participant because because every participant learns in a different way, and we all are unique persons. We all have different motivations, and we are also teaching in different places. So when we are so unique and different people, therefore whatever we learn, whatever we take away from each session is also very, very different. So in that learning log, I would request all of you to kindly take some time today, because this is the last day. The session would be over soon. You will be getting your certificates and you would have a satisfaction of a job well done. I'm sure, as I said, that many resource persons, good people, have come here and given you so much knowledge and wisdom and shared with you their ideas. So please, for all these 5 days, you actually need 5 hours of reflection. So if not 5 hours, at least take 1 hour today at your home or wherever you are situated. and then think about all the things that have been said here. So when you reflect upon them, so that reflection is very much needed. When you reflect upon them, then you come across then you internalize. When you internalize the ideas, otherwise the waves of these ideas come over us and they make us wet for a few moments and then go back. Like when we are standing on a beach, the sea comes and it wets your feet and then goes away. So for a few moments, we are soaked in the vastness of the sea, but ultimately it does not touch us. When we go back, we do not carry the sea with us. But here, what I want is you carry whatever you have learned here with you in your classrooms and in your workplaces, and actually transform transform from these 5 days that you have spent here, these investment of these hours that you have spent here. You carry that over and spread it across. It's a kind of a ripple that starts from you and that it spreads wide. So for that, I would, as I said, that my disclaimer is again, there is nothing much to learn. But as I said, that these platforms where teachers come together, these platforms are mainly for discussion. So here I would like to initiate some points and place some points in front of, on a table in front of my colleagues, to look at them, for my colleagues to see them, to play with them, and to look at them from different angles and raise different ideas that you have in your mind. So this is the objective of my presentation. I have a PPT also, which I have given to the organizers, and maybe they will be sharing with you later on, because there is not much in it, right? So the onus of learning is on you. So are you ready to go with all these disclaimers? Are you ready to go with the session?
Yes, ma'am, of course.
Okay, right. So the whole, then the responsibility is yours, the onus is yours, right? So there is risk is also yours. So my dear friends, let me ask you a simple question. And the question is, what is teaching? What do you think is teaching? It's a very simple question, and I want a simple answer to this. So if you have...
Ma'am,
yeah,
teaching is learning and sharing knowledge.
May I request all of you to kindly write on the chat, right?
Okay.
In English or in Hindi, whatever your ideas, a simple line, one in a single line, just tell me what is teaching. Right. Yeah, some people have already started writing, but I would request all of you to kindly write so that we can have a good sample here and we can have a good discussion.
You can sit down and teach something. Esho bosho. Mukta erokom bandar moton kore acho keno Muntu? I will give you some paise. Take 3 chocolates. One for you, one for your brother, and one for me. Katu?
Then, I would also need a chocolate, please. Yeah, so 3-4 persons have written, right? Aren't other people interested to write? Should we go ahead? Are other persons there? Yeah, Latha, Madhuri. Right. Good. Right. Very good. Nice. Yeah. Very good ideas are coming up. Good. Okay. So my dear friends, if you can continue writing, or if you don't want to share it with me, you can at least write. You can continue. You can write in your own notebook and not share with me. But even whatever you write, maybe if you are not sharing, even then it is the argument actually applies to that. My argument is, if you look at these definitions, which are very personal definitions, and I think all of us should have personal definitions of teaching. So these definitions of teaching, one, you can see a pattern here. If you look at these definition, and if we have at least 20 definitions that we do not have here, but still with a very small sample also, you could see that there is one word which is repeated many times in these definitions, and that word is knowledge, right? So remember this trend, right? This is a trend which we see when we ask teachers to define what is teaching. So they, most of the time in their definition, they include the word knowledge. They say it is about sharing knowledge. It's about giving knowledge to the students. It's about making them understand things, making them concepts and knowledge clear. So these are the things that they usually write. Though other people are also there who have not written this, but still I would say that this is the predominant trend. Now, may I ask you another question? And that question, for that question, you can unmute and speak, right? My question is, when a student enters in the college in the first year and gets out of the college after 3 years, mainly, or 4 years, whatever the case is the student the same?
No, ma'am.
No, right? So everybody would say no. So how has that student changed? What are the parameters on which the student has changed? Yeah, let me write down. Yes. Yes, how has the student changed?
They become more confident to face the
Right.
world, outer world.
Yes, confident.
They have their personality development. They are having more knowledge
Good.
and
Personality.
skills also. And skills
Very,
also.
very good. I am very happy that you bring in this with this word also. Skill, personality development, knowledge, and
Confidence, ma'am.
right, confidence. What you said. Yeah. Somebody else would also like to say.
They have the qualifying degree for what they have.
Right. They have the degree. Of course, they have the degree. Right. And I am asking if the student has changed or not. Right. They may change, and of course the degree would be there. So what else change? What other changes can you see in them? Okay, Dr. Saurabh, Shivani.
They can better indulge in interpersonal relationships,
Very
even
good.
outside the classroom in the personal relationships.
Attitude.
Right. बिल्कुल ठीक है. Attitudes.
Look at the society as a whole.
Right. They have an idea about the society. Their interpersonal relations have improved, or maybe they have some knack of how to deal with interpersonal relations.
Become more responsible and mature.
Right. Responsible and mature.
Mature.
Right? Yes. So these are the things that you have said and I have written. Right. Yeah. Yes.
Teamwork also.
Yeah. Teamwork also, group work also, decision making also. All these things they have transformed on. Now, where does this, when this transformation happens, where does it happen? At what geographical place does it happen?
In their own.
Yeah, no, in their own, that is fine, but which location does it happen? ये कहाँ पे होती है? कौन सी जगह पे बैठ के होती है ये ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन?
Classroom.
और
in sports or in
yes, ma'am, very right. Yeah, you were saying that it happens in the playgrounds, it happens in the corridors, in the laboratories, in the library, in the canteen, but most of the time it happens in the classroom. And we would also like, and we prefer to believe that this transformation happens in the classroom, right? Now, if it happens in the classroom, has the teacher some active role to play in this transformation?
Most critical role.
Right? Most critical role the teacher has to play. And we would like to believe that it is the teacher who is playing a very important and active role in the transformation of the students. Now, if I go back to your definitions, do you find some mismatch between the transformation of the student and the definition of teaching that we have given? Do you find some mismatch here?
Ma'am, please repeat your question.
Yes.
Between, I couldn't get your question properly.
Right. My question is, just now we have written some definitions of teaching, right? I asked you to write some, you can just scroll down and see those definitions in the chat. So is there, and one thing we are saying that this is teaching, and the second thing we are saying that this is the transformation of the student. So, and the teacher has an active role to play in the transformation of the student. What I'm saying is there a mismatch or is there a gap between our definition of teaching and between the transformation that is happening to the student?
Yes, we are or preaching bookish language as far as a teacher in conservative approach.
Right.
We are using bookish language.
So when we are talking about our definition of teaching, then what do we say? We say that it is, just a moment, please. Right? So what you are saying is that there is a mismatch and we are using a kind of a bookish language, or what I would say is when we talk of teaching, we think that it has to deal with knowledge. But what we have to actually do and what we are actually doing in the classroom is focusing on many other aspects in addition to knowledge, right? Now, whatever you have written, whatever we have discussed about the transformation, if I write them, if I categorize them, you will find that these fall into 3 different categories. And I'm sure that you must have discussed about this in this FDP, that these 3 categories are the 3 domains of education. The first domain of education is, of course, knowledge. That when we teach, we pass on that knowledge which we have received from our ancestors. It is the whole knowledge of the humankind that we are carrying, and we pass it on to the next generation, because that is what teaching is, passing on of the knowledge of the predecessors to the successors, to the next generation. So this is what we are doing in case of knowledge. But then there are 2 other domains, and if you could carefully see that one of the domain is that of skill, which I am very happy that one of the teachers has actually talked about it. That because usually what we do is we just forget about it. So skills are very important. And when you say that a student is able to develop good interpersonal relations, or better communicator, or he becomes a good in team working. So all these things are skill related. Of course, there are subject skills also. If you have a skill of language skills, then scientific equipment handling skills. If you are in sports, then physical education skills. So there are different kinds of skills that we also learn. And the third thing, and if you carefully see about this list that we have made, the third thing, all the things that you have said about maturity, confidence, then having a wider worldview, becoming more responsible, and becoming more mature, all these things actually relate to the aspect of attitude or behavior. So that means the transformation of students takes place on 3 counts in 3 domains, which are very, I think, popularly known. It's everybody knows, it's basic thing that teaching has 3 domains, and that those domains are knowledge, skill, and attitude. Right? And if you go a little into technically into it, then these are, knowledge is also considered called cognitive, the cognitive domain, the cognitive aspect, which has to do with whatever happens in our brain. Then we have the psychomotor aspect or psychomotor domain, which is the skill domain, in which we have to move something, hands, legs, mouth, tongue. So there is some kind of a doing thing, that is the skill. And the third is called the affective domain or the behavioral domain, which is related to the behavior of the student. So when you go into the class, then how do you prepare? On which domain do you prepare yourself? I have put this question to many teachers, and most of the teachers tell me that they usually look at the book, which they have to textbook or something, or the knowledge aspect that they have to deliver in the classroom, and they go through it, they revise it, and they see that if there is some kind of an updation in it, and then they go and deliver it in the classroom. But we are not at all actually preparing ourselves before going into the classroom on how we are dealing or how we are enhancing or working on the domains of skill and the domains of on the domains of behavior. So these 2 aspects are so much neglected that we have neglected that we actually forget that these 2 are also very much important part of teaching, and which is reflected in our definitions of teaching. When we define teaching, you would see, what is your personal definition? Do you include skill and behavior also into it? Right? We hardly do. And not only, it's not our fault, because we have also studied by teachers. We have also got our education looking at teachers who have focused only on knowledge and not at all focused on the aspect of behavior and the aspect of skill. And that is why our students, do you know this word, unemployable graduates?
Yes, madam.
Right? Now, what does it mean? It means that these students, these graduates, they have a degree. As somebody said, that after 3 years, of course, they would have a degree, right? But that degree does not ensure that they can be employed. They can be employable. Now, there is a difference between employed and employable. It doesn't mean that there are no jobs. It means that there are jobs. Jobs are there, vacancies are there, but we cannot employ the students because they have not been trained to do anything. They cannot do anything. So they are unemployable. If they are graduates, if they are management people, if they are engineers, or if they are whatever they have done, but they cannot actually do anything when they get into the world. So that is why they are unemployable. Why they are unemployable? Because we have not focused on the aspects of skill, on the aspects of their psychology. So keeping these things in mind, when we talk about how can a teacher actually work, what is the role of a teacher in in this aspect of sustainability? Now, sustainability is a word which is now too much into fashion, right? And this word is into fashion. We also know why. Because why? Just tell me why this word is in fashion.
Which word, madam, please?
Sustainability, sustainable development.
Sustainability means overall development of student or a human. It may be matched with the market or society or industry.
Okay,
Then it will be only sustainable.
right.
As well as far as also environment is also included in that.
Yes, right. Sustainability means that something which lasts forever, right? For example, green energy, right? Water energy or wind energy. So that kind of energy or solar energy. Solar energy is almost forever, right? But petrol would finish. So it is not sustainable. So that is that sustainability which we understand in the angle of environment, and but it is also a more it is becoming fashionable because of the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. Have you heard of these things, sustainable SDGs? Right, there were first the Millennium Development Goals, right? MDGs. United Nations has given us those goals in which there were certain goals which were to be achieved by the developed and the developing countries by the year 2000. But when the year 2000 came and went away, and those goals were not yet achieved, then they converted those definition into from MDG to SDGs. And SDGs means Sustainable Development Goals. And now everybody is after this thing that we have to have kind of sustainable understanding of the sustainability. But sustainability is not a new fashion or new word. It's not a new term. In India or in Indian culture and tradition, sustainability has been a very organic idea. In Indian philosophy, sustainability has been for years, for ages, we see it is very ingrained into our culture and tradition. Right? So there are, if you go through this thing about this idea of sustainability, we have the three pillars of sustainability. The three domains or three aspects of sustainability are the economy, sustainability of economy, sustainability of environment, and sustainability of the society. Or we can also understand it by three other words, that is the profit, right? That means the benefit, the economy through which everything runs, the people, and the planet. The planet means the earth or the environment. It should also be sustainable. And there should be people, and there should be people, the whole society, it should be sustainable. The relationships that they have should be sustainable, and the economy. So these are the three pillars of sustainability: economy, society, and environment. And similarly, we can also translate them into profit, people, and planet. And of course, you must be remembering, because sustainability or environmental issues, we have had enough of them at our school level. All the essays that are there, all the competitions, all the poster makings, all drawings, everything, or slogan writing, everything moves around these ideas of sustainability. And there are three principles of sustainability. I hope you all know that, and even your children would be knowing that. And these are reduce, reuse, and recycle. Right? So through these three R's, like reducing the consumption of the things, reusing them, and recycling them, we can actually help the environment and become a more sustainable society. So this idea of sustainability in Indian philosophy, what is it? Please can you give me some idea about it, or do you want to comment on it? I'll stop here for a moment and ask you. And also tell me that how long should I go? What is the time? It's 1.5 hours.
Ma'am, it's 2 hours actually, and you can keep question answering session also, ma'am.
So tell me about whatever we have discussed, if you want to comment or say something on it, or if you have something to add to it. I am asking you about the philosophy of sustainability in Indian system, in Indian philosophy.
Ma'am, from which aspect are you asking? Actually, I couldn't comprehend.
I hope you understand what sustainability is, right?
That it something stays long forever.
It stays long, right, lasts long, and it is continuous. And sustainability means as we do not actually are in a hurry to finish that thing, right? But we want to keep it and maintain it so that even our children can use it, our children's children can use it. So the whole world, the generations can use that thing. So that is a kind of sustainability, the idea of sustainability, whether it is environmental, whether it is financial or something else. So I am asking you, do you have some story, some comment of this idea of sustainability in Indian culture?
मैम इंडिया में तो देखिए ना सोसाइटी के लिए बहुत ज्यादा सस्टेनेबिलिटी मेंटेन करते हैं जब गवर्नमेंट हमारे लिए ये योगा डे सेलिब्रेट करवा रही है मेडिटेशन पे हमारी जो रिच कल्चरल इनहेरिटेंस है वो पास ऑन कर रही है बाहर की दुनिया में तो हमको ही नहीं मिलती वो तो वी एक्चुअली आर सेंसिटाइज्ड इन सो मेनी प्रोग्राम्स like recently Chandigarh urban festival is being organized and Chandigarh has thought about it in collaboration with the ACT society. So this all endeavor is towards the generation of some sensitization that we need to preserve these cultural values and ethos in the society so that we should pass on this legacy to our younger generation. So this should not diminish. So all these efforts are going towards the sustainable development. सोसाइटी का और होना मैं ये सोसाइटी का पिकअप करके एग्जांपल दिया
बिल्कुल ठीक है. So what I am saying, and as you said also, that in Indian society, right, we had in our, if you look at the way, the lifestyle of the people that we had in the lifestyle of the people that we had in rural areas or in olden days, you would say that the resources were meager and all resources were very carefully handled, right? There were no wastage of the things. And you can see that in our handicrafts. You can see that in our cuisine, in the way we cook, the way things are used, right? Sometimes there are vegetables of which all parts are used in some way. If there is extra vegetable, then we make pickles or we make other kinds of things that can be used. We conserve them, right? Similarly, the handicrafts that we use, for example, the kantha stitch, right? You must be knowing this handicraft, which is actually, which means that it is made up of old clothes, old saris or old clothes. So the way of recycling, this idea or the ethos of recycling is already there. So my argument or my point is that in India, we already have this idea of sustainability ingrained deep within us. And if we look into the lifestyles of our grandparents or even of our parents, we would see that they were very careful with the resources. And that is the key to sustainability. There is this term Anand, right? In India, in Indian religion, we have this Anand, the word Anand. Now, what does Anand mean? Anand, there is no direct translation in English language, because if we say joy or happiness, it actually it cannot translate the spirit of Anand. Anand is an eternal bliss.
Yes.
It means that something which does not diminish, it does not go away, right? And that is why all the in religion, if you follow religion, then people say that you should strive to get Ananda. And Ananda is a stage where you will never, it will not go away, it will be sustained, and you will never have sorrow, right? So that kind of sustainability is already, we in our minds, we are trained or we are brought up like within these kind of ideas where sustainability is a very basic thing, it's very ingrained thing. But again, I would say that present society, do you see these values being practiced in our own generation or in our children's generation? Do you think do you find this sustainability being practiced?
No.
Right?
Largely
So,
no.
right. Yes, I think you would also agree with me that we are becoming more and more a consumeristic society, right? And this consumerism is actually not helping us. And why is it not helping us? That first of all, it violates the traditional values that we are brought up with, firstly. And secondly, it also violates the principles of sustainability or the conservation of the environment, conservation of the economy. It also is hampering that, this modern idea of research-based or evidence-based idea that we have got, though we knew it earlier also. But this evidence-based thing, that if we don't work properly in a sustainable way, then we will not be able to actually keep this planet for our children, or pass it on to our children, pass on the resources to our next generations. So that idea, why have we become too consumeristic? This is one question, right? And if it is so harmful, if being consumeristic is so harmful, then why have we taken this very harmful practice? Because even animals, when they do something, they actually they never do something which harms them. But human beings are people with thinking capacities. Why would they take, or why would they trade something which is harmful for themselves? Why do you think we are becoming consumeristic?
Because they're very greedy. पैसा चाहिए, पद चाहिए, पदवियां चाहिए. So they compromise their values and principles in life. Easy money.
Yeah, it's not, I think I would say you have encapsulated and given us some ideas, but still if we look deep into it,
Ma'am, we become more westernized.
Right.
We and our behavior has been changed. We become more consumeristic. We become more westernized. Our values has been changed, ma'am.
But again, I would say the basic crisis is of not thinking, right? When we adopt a Western culture, or I won't say Western culture is bad, because there are many, we cannot just brand it like that. There are many good things in Western culture also, and that we have to adopt, that we actually do not adopt. But just copying somebody else, I wouldn't say Western, but if I have to copy my colleague, if I see something good my colleague is wearing or driving, or she has done something, then we just want to copy that without thinking that whether it suits me or not. So I think the crisis is more of thinking or not thinking, right? That as human beings, we are not investing our time on reflection, not investing our time on thinking, and that is why we are adopting a behavior which is like only following, only complying, right? Like a sheep. And there is this new term called sheeple, right? People who are like sheep. So it is called sheeple. So now in this whole scenario, now what can we do as a teacher? What is our role as a teacher? Now somebody wrote here a very beautiful thing, that teaching is parenting the students. Now how do we parent the students? We cannot even sometimes parent our own children. It's so difficult to parent our own children, right? But how do we do this thing?
Ma'am, by putting ourselves in a position where we can become a role model, by introspecting and creating some lifestyle habits ki people should emulate, students should emulate. Give them your example, no? Only then they will. We have no right to teach them when we are not modulated or not regulated in our actions or thinking. That reflects on students.
Right. So one of the ways is, as you said, by becoming a role model. But when we bring up this idea, then everybody is so much resistant. All the teachers say, why should we have to be role model? Why don't you say this to the doctors? Why don't you say this to the engineers, to everybody else, to the political people? People can emulate them also. Why don't you say them to the cinema heroes and heroines? People emulate them more. They emulate us less. So these are, so I would say the teacher has different roles. One of the role is that of an instructor. That when you go to the class, you just give them the knowledge. You tell them that these are these are the logical, rational reasons why you should be sustainable, why you should follow the path of sustainability. And why is sustainability important for us in the long run? Why is it important for us in the planet, for the planet? So you can give them the scientific basis or the knowledge or the cognitive aspect of it, right? But you can also, this is one of the ways through which teachers can actually intervene. So how can the teacher intervene? So teacher can intervene through different roles that are there. One of the role is that of an instructor. The second role is that of a person, because students know us as persons also, as people also. As you say, role model. I won't say role model, but I would say somebody, a significant person in the lives of the student. A teacher is a very significant person in the lives of a student. And we look at the significant persons. We may or may not emulate, but we understand that if that person is following something, that must be important or that must be valued. Right? So how do you yourself become a role model? How do you become a role model? How does a teacher become a role model in sustainability?
Ma'am, by our behavior. If we are going to follow discipline, so they'll learn discipline from us. If we are going to be humble, if we are going to show mannerisms, so our behavior is going to reflect and they are going to copy that maybe.
Somebody else would like to say something?
Yes, ma'am?
Somebody else would like to say? Yeah. Yes, please, other people can also answer. I am asking, how can we become role models? What do we do?
We adopt them as their own kids, and we should be feeling responsible not only to our family and our immediate responsibilities. We have to stretch ourselves to serve. That service element should be supreme in our, that seva sabse upar hai. So you have to be kind and you have to be serving, and then they will see change. You will see change in your students also.
Right. Actually, what I am asking for is actionable points. Actionable points, right? These are good words, but these are big words. And words are very difficult to translate into action unless we consciously do it. So when we say we have to adopt them as our own children, we should be parenting them, we should stretch ourselves, it's a service, it's a mission. I would say these are still big words. And I want you to think about and give me some actions. What do I do today? What do I do when I go to the classroom?
Only in classroom parlance, ma'am.
In the college, maybe whenever you have an interaction with the students, because that is how role model, a teacher becomes a role model. And even outside the college also, the teacher is viewed. And nowadays we also have a social media presence.
Doing
stay
what we are
connected
preaching.
always. Okay.
Doing what
Yes.
we are preaching.
We have to.
Doing what we are preaching.
Right.
For to create a role model to the students so that they may imitate our self according to teacher.
Right.
Like
So this,
saving electricity by putting cut off the light after they use. This type of examples can be created.
Ravi Mishra ji speaking. So he said that we through our small actions, right? Like
Yes.
if you switch off the lights when you go out of the classroom. So this is one small action that we can, right? But it has to be, it cannot be faked. It has to be authentic, right? So finally, you will ultimately have to become a very authentic and good person if you really want to teach your students sustainability or good environmental habits through your own example. You have to be a good person. You cannot just fake it. You cannot just think that, oh, I'll show it in front of the students, but actually I would myself waste energy and waste water. But I'll just show. So it cannot be done. You have to be an authentic person, right?
That's what preaching what we are doing.
Right? So that means our acts and our behavior and what our thoughts and our speech, all of them should be in sync. They should all be integrated and a seamless integration should be there. I think Mahatma Gandhi has also preached this, told this, that we have to, जिसको हिंदी में कहते हैं मनसा वाचा कर्मणा, right? In your heart, in your speech, and in your action, whatever you do, there should be oneness in it. So that oneness we have to adopt, we have to show, right? And I would also like to tell you, or maybe you already know it, that very quickly the classroom becomes a place in which things start happening, things that you value, right? For example, if you tell the students what is valued in the class, you don't speak, you don't tell them directly, you do not tell them directly, but you just show them by example what are the things that you value. Immediately the class would imitate, they would start following that. For example, you start wearing very flashy clothes in the classroom, right? You start wearing branded clothes, fashionable clothes, flashy clothes, makeup, all these things you start doing in the classroom. Immediately, everybody will follow that because they get a message that this is what you value, right? If you give us a hidden message, for example, if somebody is, there are students who are, for example, they would all the time very sweet, right? And they would always keep on praising the teacher. So how do you handle them? Right? There are some students who would keep on praising the teacher all the time. So they are very sweet in their praise. They are not very authentic, I would say. They have this habit of praising everything that the teacher does. So how do you handle them?
Diplomatically, ma'am.
Counseling, through counseling, that authentic thing has to be praised, not everything.
Yes, very good. Now look at when you are dealing with this person, the whole class is looking at you, right? And they are very secretly watching that how do you handle this? If you really take that praise and you glow in it and you are very happy, they would immediately imitate that and the whole class would become chamchas. Right? Because they think that it is valued. But if you tell, most of the time I tell my class how to say thank you. Because you can see in a WhatsApp group, if there are 200 people and they start thanking you, there are 200 pinches on your mobile phone and everybody is saying thank you, thank you, thank you. This is not needed. We have to teach ourselves and we have to teach our students how to thank you. Because thanking means a genuine gratitude, and along with that, you have to tell the person why you are thanking. Right? There is something genuine that that person has done. You have to tell that. For example, thanking a resource person is customary, right? It is only a customary. So it is only there is no need to unnecessarily praise the other person, right? We get salaries for doing all the work that we are doing. There is no need to say thank you without reason. So we have to thank the other person, or we have to praise and appreciate the other person if there is a genuine reason. So when you thank the resource person, just tell them that what they have done good. Only then we should think. And therefore, this thank you becomes also a thinking work. It does not become a non-thinking formality or a customary thing. When you introduce these small things into your classroom, the students would understand that how you have to be one in whatever you say, whatever you do, and immediately the whole class will follow and you would have a good class. But it is you who decide the climate of the classroom. Right? There is a very beautiful quote by Chaim Ginott, who is an educationist, and he says that it is me who decides the climate of the classroom. I can make the classroom a sunny one, I can make it a rainy one, I can make it a cloudy one, and I can make it a thunderous one. So it is you who make the climate of the classroom. If we tell them that we appreciate sustainability, we appreciate the use of reuse, recycle, and refuse. I myself do it, and I prefer that you should also do it. Immediately, the whole class will follow suit. But again, I would say that these are people say when we place these ideas in front of the teachers, they say, "Oh, I do not have to even cover my syllabus when I am to do these kind of things." The answer to this is you do not do them as disintegrated assignments. These are not that now I am teaching sustainability, now I am teaching my subject, now I am becoming a role model. It's not like that. It is all together, it's all integrated. And seamlessly, as I said, seamlessly integrated. Whatever your behavior, whatever you are teaching, it's all seamlessly integrated. Then there are certain skills that the students should learn, which again lead to sustainability. There are skills also. So do we give them, for example, the people skills, how to deal with people, interpersonal skills, teamwork, group discussions, respecting the other person, listening to the other person, respecting diversity, respecting women, respecting minority. These are some of the skills of sustainability. And how do we actually inculcate them? Do you have some ideas? How do we inculcate these skills?
By giving them some proper practical training, like in a function, you should give them an extra assignment. How will they perform in a group? You assign them roles and give them authority and responsibility. How do they मतलब अपना रोल कैसे निभाएंगे उसको, तो वो उनको अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलनी चाहिए.
हाँ, बिल्कुल ठीक आपने कहा. और I think many teachers are already, I find it very heartening that many teachers at their small places, whatever their circle is in their classrooms, they are doing beautiful work. And I find it all over India. I find it even in very tribal and remote areas of Chhattisgarh. I find it people doing these kind of things in Leh Ladakh, not only in very metro cities or urban cities, but everywhere our teachers are doing good work. And that is why the whole system is still working, that there are people who are still honest and authentic. So if we give, these are again, this is only a shift of the mind, because as I said, the role of teacher is not only giving knowledge. The role of teacher
in college, sorry ma'am, I'm sorry I'm interrupting.
Yes, no,
in college, through extension activities, aren't we doing this service which you are talking, like NSS is there, NCC is there? So what all you have given, we are teaching them all these skills through these extension
I would
activities.
say, yes, all these are there. But I just find sometimes that we are doing it in a very mechanistic and routine way, in a non-thinking way. This is my opinion and observation, because with students, I find, especially, for example, these NSS students or NSS students, most of the time, they are asked to volunteer, they are asked to go here and there, but there is no thinking involved in it.
Yes.
Right? So that critical thinking has to be there. So for that, we have to engage them. Even if you are making them do something, Swachhata Abhiyan activity, have some briefing with them before and after. And because whatever we do actually, whatever we teach or whatever we do in the classroom activities, there should be a briefing and debriefing. And it has to be transcendent. It has to go up beyond what is there. Right? I hope I make myself clear that whatever we teach, there is again a philosophical and a higher aspect of it. Do we connect our students to that higher aspect? Right? This is what is needed, because we don't need to do it in routine, mechanistic way. I see all the time these NSS activities that people are doing.
Maybe take them to old age homes and all, no?
Yes,
सफाई के लिए neighborhood में ऐसा सब. तो
but फिर क्या वो आके डिस्कस करते हैं? क्या आप इसके बारे में बात करते हैं? क्या इसके, because again I would say this transformation happens only when we reflect. And for that reflection, voicing them, discussing them, it's very much important. Putting them into words, it's very much important. आपने उनको सिर्फ वो ले जाके छोड़ दिया ओल्ड एज होम में, आप काम करके आ गए, but then you have to have a session or you have to have a discussion on it.
Right.
Connecting it with the larger, connecting it again with the overview, with the larger aspect about, there can be many ways in which the main thing is student engagement. Can we engage them? Now, what is engagement? What is engagement? Actually, let us discuss about this word, engage, engagement. What is it and how do we do it?
Like if they go to an old age home, so they should adopt a repo or adopt a senior citizen and then make a contact regularly and talk to them and adopt करना मतलब उसको अपना दादाजी बना ले या दादी बना ले और उनके साथ connection build करें and follow up लें हम उन बच्चों से कि आप क्या कर रहे हो इनके साथ.
Right. And do they feel it really in their heart or not? Is it some kind of a activity बस 2% number मिलेंगे इसलिए NSS कर रहे हैं क्या?
नहीं.
Right?
Yeah.
So that thing, now it is the teacher's job. सिर्फ टीचर का यही काम है, बाकी सब काम बच्चे अपने आप से कर सकते हैं. And again, my theories, and there I can give you some argument on in favor of it also, that people can learn all by themselves. So whatever knowledge we are giving to them, they can do all by themselves. वो सब अपने आप से काम कर सकते हैं. What is the teacher's role then? The teacher's role is to nudge. I hope you understand what is nudge.
बीज डालना मतलब.
Right. Nudging means giving a hint, pointing out. For example, if you do not point out a rainbow to a child, the child maybe will never see a rainbow. You have to point it out to the child that look, this is very beautiful. And a teacher's words have a lot of meaning. It has a lot of weight. The students, the child starts thinking on those lines. And that is why teaching is a very dangerous political activity. Because you can put ideas into students' minds. Good ideas also and bad ideas also. So this is, are we doing that engagement or not? For example, we nowadays this science week is going on. So there are many activities and we have these students coming and listening to the sessions. Now these resource persons who are coming and speaking, they are very, very, very eminent people. And all these eminent people, they are old also. And they are speaking about what they have done in different fields of agriculture, of maybe physics, chemistry, or biology. And these students, they're not even listening to them. They're just sitting in the auditorium because they have been instructed to sit. And I think you also are witness to these kind of things in your college. The students will do something if the teacher tells them, but the engagement is not there. So everything, the money is being spent, the time is being spent, the effort is being done by all the teachers, by so much, the whole machinery is there, but there is no output. Because we have not worked on the main point or the main aspect, and that is how to engage the students. Engaging them, engaging their minds, invoking them, motivating them, inspiring them. We have not been able to do that. So if you ask me how it can be done, there can be many ways. And there can be different ways, and I can give you some ideas, but you can ultimately, every teacher has to find it out for himself or herself. The secret of engaging students. And if you can engage them in the classroom, then you are a good, best teacher. You are a very effective teacher. Otherwise, you would just only be parroting what is there in the textbook in front of the students. You are just saying it out from your mouth once. So I would say the student engagement, we have to work on that. It is very important that we engage our students. So role of a teacher, if we have to inculcate any value and if we have to inculcate this sustainability value, then it is the teacher has to engage the students. There is no doubt in it. Right? If you have to say something, please say, I will give you 2-3 minutes and then we will take a 5 minutes break, water break. Right? Yes, please. Do ask me something or do comment.
Ma'am, sometimes you actually put in your heart and soul in guiding your students, in engaging them. On your part, there is no lack. You're 100% you're giving. But if student is not responding, and they're very smart cookies these days, because of the influence of internet and all global effects on them, they're very smart. They escape and shy away or nahi कहना चाहिए. This escape. There is escapism in students. How to deal with that?
Look, I would say that we cannot just undo all the effects of the society that is on them, right? All the effect of the internet, of all the bad things of bad parenting, bad society. So all these things, we cannot undo everything. But still, one thing that we can do is to prepare the ground. If you start just doing them, for example, when I ask people in teachers group, please ask me questions. Nobody asks questions. And this is in teachers group, right? Don't you think that how can a person not have a comment? If you are listening to something for an hour or two, won't you have comments in your mind? Won't you want to share a word or two? For example, let me ask you, me and you are having this conversation face to face, one to one. So would you allow me to speak for 2 hours and speak nothing?
It is unfair.
It won't happen. No? It doesn't happen like that in normal conditions, in organic conditions. But
No.
here, do you think that how unnatural it is? That I am speaking, and nobody is commenting. No, they don't have any ideas. Either you are not listening.
There's a monologue going on.
Or there must be something unnatural that people don't revert back. You must be teaching for 10 years, 15 years, 5 years, and you must have your own opinion of how students are working, or why is it difficult, or what I am saying is not at all good or not at all right. You must be having some idea, but you would not speak. So why is it like that? It's not that they don't want to engage, because they do not know how to engage, and because they have been trained to keep quiet.
Yeah.
Throughout our lives, we are taught finger on your lips.
Yes.
Do not talk. Keep quiet. Just think that how unnatural thing this is for a child, for a 5-year-old child, for a 10-year-old child, that you just forbid them from speaking in the classroom. And then when these children grow up and they come to us for PhD students, we say, oh, now speak. Yeah, what is your critical thinking? What do you think about it? What is your observation? What is your opinion? They have nothing to tell because they have not been trained to speak. Right? So I would say that that is why this is not easy. And we have to do a lot of hand holding of our students. Right? Just saying them, many times I find teachers saying that, oh, I always, at the end of my class, I ask students to speak or ask questions, but they never ask. I would say they never ask because they don't know how to ask. They don't know how to keep their eyes open for questions or doubts or clarifications. So they do not have that metacognition. Metacognition means the cognition of one's own thinking. The recognition of one's own thinking, that how, for example, if you're sitting in my session, what are you feeling now at this moment? What is your feeling? What is your emotional feeling? Right?
I'm
it might
sensitized.
be, yeah, it might be boredom. It might be joy. It might be enlightenment. Right? There can be different, it might be anger. So there are different emotional states in which you can be. But are you noticing that? That is important. That what are you noticing that cognition? Do you have that cognition of your mental and the emotional process? Most of the people would be able to tell me the content that I have spoken. Right? But they would not be able to tell how that content has actually impacted them, because they are not looking at that. So I think I'm sorry that these are very small things, and you would say that these are very minor things that I'm speaking about. I'm not talking about very big things, very hi-fi things. But I find that in my experience, I have found that these are these minor and small things, and isko sukshma kehte hain. These are these fine things due to which we are lagging in our teaching and we are lagging in our education. So with
Exactly,
the
ma'am.
students, yeah, with the students, I'm sure that what you need to do is to prepare the ground. First of all, how to prepare the ground. So this preparation of the ground is done on the first day of the. When you start the relationship with them, it is done at that time. You lay down the conditions of your relationship, and it happens in all relationships, whether it's husband wife, whether it's anybody, a boss or employee, whether it is our colleagues. It happens on the first day that you write the conditions of your relation. So on the first day, when you go to your class, okay, I'll take a break because I really need to drink water and take a break. So please give me 5 minutes, right?
Sure, ma'am.
And you can also please go away and look something somewhere else. Don't look at your devices anymore. So give some rest to your eyes and give me also 5 minutes and I'll be back. Thank you so much.
Sure,
Right?
First
And
session.
meanwhile, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Meanwhile, please have all the discussions, ideas and suggestions or comments that you would like to share. Thank you so much. I'll be back. Okay, so are you back, please?
Yes, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Right. So do you have something to say? Right. So I would say that a teacher, how can we, what is our role? One of our role is as an instructor. Another role is as a person. I would say I would not prefer the word role model, because then again there are issues with it. So I would say that students also look at us as a person. So what kind of a person I am? If I am a better person, if I am myself a person who has my values in place, and I am really concerned about the sustainability aspect, then that thing also impresses and instructs the students and transforms the student in some way. I am also a civil society member, right? So that role also is there, being a member of the civil society, right? So are you doing something for in that area also? Now, what is being a civil society member?
Ma'am, being rational.
Right. What can we do about it? For example, have you heard of this term action research? Have you heard of this term action research? You are all, I think many people are from education. So you must be knowing this. Have you heard of this term?
Is this like kind of, ma'am, action by, learning by doing, or research by doing, just
Yes.
like we conduct sample surveys or
Right.
socio-economic surveys?
Yes. Action research is actually a research in which we are also the consumers of research, right? For example, when we do an academic research, we are too much far removed from our research, right? We are, for example, whatever findings are there, we hardly implement them ourselves, or maybe we do it the research for some other group. But in action research, we are ourselves the consumers of research. For example, if in your class you see that the students are coming late all the time, right? So what you can do is you can do a research.
Sir, please mute yourself.
Kathiresan, please mute yourself. M. Kathiresan. Yeah, Dr. M. Kathiresan. Okay, doesn't matter. The host can mute. Right. So this. Right. Yeah, you can unmute also, because then we can have a more interactive session, right? So friends, the action research is something is happening in our classroom, and if we do a research on that, and then we can improve our classroom or pedagogical practices. That is called action research, in which we are doing a research in an area which is very close by to ourselves, and we are ourselves the consumers of that research. This is called action research. So small things, small action research we can also do in our classrooms and teach our students, so they also learn how to do research, and also they become more engaged and more linked to that issue of sustainability, right? There can be different, for example, you can do a water audit of your department or institute. You can do a electricity audit of your department, of your college, right? You can do so many things. For example, waste management. You can make your college a zero waste college, right? You can make your college a zero plastic college. So these are many of the institutes are already doing these things. But again, as I would say, you have to engage the students in it, engage their minds in it, engage them in all the three domains, right? The domain of knowledge, the domain of behavior, and the domain of skill. And also link it with their future prospects of when they will get into the society, that how these skills are very much important for in their employability also. So if we tell our students something like this, then they will be they will be more interested in it, right? So I would now finally come to the benefits of teaching sustainability to students. When we teach these ideas, then their imagination and enthusiasm are heightened, right? When we do these kind of hands-on interactive learning, it sparks the imagination and unlocks the creativity. Students became enthusiastic and engaged in learning, and which again raises student achievement in core academic areas. Now, this is very surprising, but this is again, I would say, an evidence-based thing, that you are actually doing something different, but you are not studying, you are not doing academic activities, right? You are doing some other activities which are non-academic activities, but you are becoming better in core academic areas. So this is something which we can use at our home also. And I have seen this, that sometimes when you take your students for a museum visit, let us say a museum visit, so when they come back, they are more enthusiastic in their classrooms and they become better in their academics also, right? So this is, again, I would say, when we do it in our colleges, sometimes we do it in very boring ways, right? Just now, I think I found somebody, there was a competition for young students, and the topic of the competition was on which they have to write an essay, right? It was an essay competition, and they have to write an essay on leveraging science and technology for self-reliant India, right? Now, just look at the theme. Do you think that young adult students would be interested in writing on this theme? Isn't it very boring? Isn't it very, I would say, non-creative? Then there was this another institute which has put up on the
Hello, participants. I think there are some connection issues. Please stay with us. There are some connection issues on speaker side. Please bear with us.
In the meantime, I request all the participants to please be prepared for attending the valedictory also, and kindly prepare some feedbacks or some cultural performances. I hope there are a lot of talented teachers sitting here. So I expect that we have to make this program a success. So let us end it in a nice way. I request everyone. You know, I messaged it also in the group, but I am just requesting and reminding you that make this 45 minutes program a colorful and a very lively session. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Shomita, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So let us, we have only 30 more minutes to go. And very quickly, I would just tell you about what are the benefits of teaching in this way. About when we are talking about sustainable development, what are, if these kind of ideas, if we put them and if we interconnect, because sustainable development is an idea which is an interdisciplinary kind of idea, and which it can be, there are opportunities in every subject to inculcate or to introduce this idea into different subjects, whatever subject you are teaching, and the philosophy of that subject, there is a scope in every subject to introduce this kind of an idea into it. And when we do it, what are the benefits that the students have? So we were talking about the different, I was telling you about the different topics of the essay competition that we have given to the students. So which one would you think that the students would feel happy to write about?
Their aims in life.
No. I told you about two topics. Do you remember?
Okay, ma'am.
One of the topic was leveraging science and technology in developing a self-reliant India, right? And the second topic was writing a love letter to any biological species in the world. Right? Of course, the second one would be more engaging and more interesting to the students, right?
Yes,
so
ma'am.
both, why do we give them such boring topics? Now, you see that the whole money is being spent, all the work is being done, teachers are also involved in it, students are also spending their time on it, but only with this single difference of a creative theme, of an out-of-the-box theme, the whole output of the work or output of this workshop or this activity is changed. Right? This is what I want to present before you. We don't have to look towards big things. Wherever we are situated, whether we are very simple lecturers in small colleges, rural colleges, tribal colleges, or urban colleges, wherever we are situated, in that small domain, we can bring soft reforms. And we can bring soft reforms through the meticulousness of the thing, of the work that we are doing. Just be a little meticulous. Just do your homework a little more. And just apply your mind. And remember, with students and with our own children, the one word that is very important to remember is to engage. Engage their minds, engage their hands. If you are able to do that, you can become a better teacher and you can become a better influencer. I think this word is nowadays too much in vogue, right? Influencer. We have these YouTube video influencers who are influencing the whole, very huge fan followings are there. Right? So you can also become an influencer. So the second benefit that they have is learning transcends the classroom. That is, if opportunities for experiential learning outside of the classroom are there, it enables the children or the students to make connections and apply learning in the real world. It helps learners to see the interconnectedness of the social, ecological, economic, cultural, and the political issues. They understand that this learning or this knowledge that they are gaining, it's not only limited to whatever to just appearing in an examination. And this is what we are missing most when we have unemployable graduates. The problem is that they cannot apply what they have learned into real life situations. I hope you have talked about Bloom's taxonomy in this course. You have? No. Okay. So let me talk about a little about this, which is a very handy tool, right? When we talk of knowledge, when we say that, oh, we are great teachers because we give knowledge to the students. So let me ask you, have you, there is this child, and in the television, there is many times there is a program of this child in which the child is of poor or 5 years old child, and he can rattle off the names of all the capitals of different countries. Have you seen this child? Right? So this child of 5 years old, and he knows the names of the capitals. But do you think that this child understands what is a capital? What is a country? The child doesn't understand, right? And how, maybe he has some kind of a memory or something, or a kind of mugging up the capacity to learn things, to just remember things, right? So the child has remembered all these things, but he has no idea of what is the meaning of a capital, what is the meaning of a country. So in that situation, make a triangle in your notebook. Make a big triangle in full page of your notebook, and in that triangle, make a triangle in full page of your notebook and divide it into 5 different horizontal lines. 5 horizontal lines, which is so that the triangle gets divided into 6 areas. Okay. So now at the lowest space, the lowest horizontal place, write in that memorization. Right? This is the first step of knowledge, memorization. Right? Now, on the next step, write comprehension. Because the next step of knowledge is understanding. That means first you have to remember, and then we have to comprehend. Comprehension is there. Do you remember in our examinations, there was a paragraph, which was a comprehension paragraph, in which you have to read the paragraph and then answer some questions which were asked in that paragraph. That means you could understand the whole, comprehend the whole paragraph, only then you would be able to answer the questions. So the second step is of comprehension. Now, what is the third step of knowledge? What is the third step of knowledge?
Understanding, ma'am.
Understanding is comprehension, right? Understanding is
Meenakshi ma'am, please mute yourself. Meenakshi ma'am, Dr. Meenakshi, please mute yourself.
She has muted, Samita. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
Now, what I am asking you is, what is the third step of knowledge? The first step is memorization. The second step is comprehension. What is the third step?
Practice.
Yeah, it is application.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you write on the third level, application. Right? Now tell me, what is the fourth step?
Distribution of idea further.
Fourth step is analysis.
Oh, yeah. Analysis.
Right? That you are able to analyze. Right? And then there is a fifth step, which is synthesis. Now, what does synthesis means? That that is interdisciplinariness of the things that you have studied, for example, say genetics. Now you can link that how genetics is linked to political science, how genetics is linked to culture, to society, to chemistry. So you can link and synthesize the different things, right? So now what is the topmost level of knowledge?
Ma'am, any hint? It's a riddle.
Right? With which you become the master of knowledge. You can master that, right?
Spiritualize something.
It is creativity.
Created.
Sometimes this is called the Bloom's taxonomy. Edward Bloom was an educationist thinker, and he has created this model. And I think it's a very basic model. And I think most of the teachers who have done education or something, they already know about it, right? And sometimes there are some difference also in this categorization. But usually this is the level. So tell me now, friends, that to which level do you take your students? When you teach them something, when we say we teach, we give knowledge, we share knowledge, to which level do you take them?
I think at the most comprehension.
At the most comprehension and at the best application.
Or
That there
yeah.
are, right, some of the subjects in which there are some numericals, etc., to be done. So then there is a little application, but we do not take them beyond that. So that is what is needed. That if they are able to analyze, if they are able to synthesize, then they would be able to use that knowledge in different ways in the real world. What is the point of studying if you cannot use that knowledge in real world? And that is where we see that we have divorced the whole education from the real world. We teach students as if the classroom is something else, that whatever we learn here cannot be applied in the real world. So with this teaching of sustainability, learning transcends the classroom, right? And then the next point is that critical and creative thinking skills are enhanced. It encourages students to research, to investigate how and why things happen, and make their own decisions about the complex environmental issues and different issues, because everybody should understand that this world is not a simple place. There is no linearity in the things that happen. It is multi-layered, it is multi-nuanced. And for that, you need to have a skill so that you can navigate these multiple layers. So this helps. So they become, when they grow up, they become informed consumers, better workers, better policy makers and decision makers. And therefore, we need these students to learn all these kind of skills. They also learn tolerance and understanding. When they investigate the different sides of the issue and understand the full picture, it promotes tolerance among them and about the different points of views. Right? When one issue is there, but there are multiple domains, multiple aspects of it. And living in a democratic country also, it is very much necessary that we understand that there are different angles to everything, different perspectives to even one simple issue. That is very much necessary, which brings us flexibility in us and which also helps us in becoming more tolerant. Also, it integrates learning. As I said, it makes you more interdisciplinary, and interdisciplinary is the thing, which is the in thing, which is very much important in the future, and that is needed. Then we also make them better. This is also an intervention for healthy lifestyles, because healthy lifestyles would be encouraged and communities are strengthened, and by teaching them by teaching them sustainable development. They are also able to take responsible actions. As I told you about action research. So if we teach them these kind of things, they would be able to take some action also as civil society members. Not only as employees, not only as students, but also as civil society members. They would be more vigilant, they would be more aware. And through all these exercises, both the students and the teachers get empowered. It promotes active learning, it promotes citizenship, and even students become empowered and they become better leaders, and they can share their voices, and they can also become problem solvers for their communities. So all these benefits are there. We can teach sustainability through, first of all, instruction, through design, and through our own example. So these are some of the ideas that I kept before you. And I would just share with you this quotation of Jean-Paul Richter, who said, "Do not wait for extraordinary circumstances to do good action. Try to use ordinary situations." I think all of us are in ordinary situations, And this is our field, and this is where we would work, and we can bring changes in those small, very small steps that we take. And Barack Obama also once said that we are the ones we are waiting for. Nobody, no messiah would come for us. No person, no political leader would come and help us in our plight. It is we who we cannot wait for anybody. We have to take steps. So I will stop here. Yeah, I'll stop here, and this is what I wanted to present. Now we can have a discussion. We have still around 14 minutes to go. We will have a thorough discussion. Yes, please.
Ma'am, my question is, now during NAC also, we have been given so many times these questions like experiential learning, how to increase this in this kind of scenario. With the lecture today you have given, which part out of this pyramid is applicable with this?
At every level. At every level you can use experiential learning.
सभी कोर्सेज में तो हम इनको ऐसे नहीं दे पाते ना, लाइक साइंस में हो गया या कुछ, या हमारी नॉलेज नहीं एक्सपीरियंशियल लर्निंग के बारे में थोड़ा वो बताओ.
व्हाट इज योर सब्जेक्ट?
माय सब्जेक्ट इज कॉमर्स.
कॉमर्स, ओके. कॉमर्स में तो सारी एक्सपीरियंशियल लर्निंग ही है ना.
हाँ जी, पर वो जब बाकी सब्जेक्ट्स की डीलिंग आती है ना, तो उसमें सब लोगों के पास आते नहीं आंसर्स. हाँ,
तो आप वो करते हो, जैसे आई थिंक देयर आर सम स्कूल्स जहाँ पे कि वो एक सब बच्चों से वो पैसे लेते हैं, राइट, अराउंड 10 रुपीज का वो एक बॉन्ड खरीदते हैं, बॉन्ड टाइप, या जिसको बोलते हैं स्टॉक, है ना. तो वो खरीद लेते हैं, सारे बच्चे उसमें इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, फिर वो जो कॉमर्स वाले बच्चे होते हैं वो उसको किसी बिजनेस में लगाते हैं, और फिर वो वापस पैसा उसको 10 की जगह पे 20 रुपए देते हैं. You do this activity in your college?
अच्छा, ये ऐसे नहीं कराते. हाँ,
the thing is that
हाँ जी बताइए.
नेशनल एंड गुड जो टॉप मोस्ट यूनिवर्सिटीज है ना, उसके अंदर जब हम हमेशा यही रोते हैं कि जी हमारे को पैसे नहीं मिलते, हमारे पास पैसे कम है, इस वजह से हम काम नहीं कर सकते, है ना. लेकिन जो मैंने स्टडी की है और मैंने ये देखा है कि एक्चुअली जो नेशनल यूनिवर्सिटी है, जो टॉप यूनिवर्सिटीज है, वो जो काम करती है ना, उसमें पैसा नहीं लगता, उसमें सिर्फ आइडिया लगता है, राइट. सो व्हाट इज दैट आइडिया? पहली बात तो ये है कि वो अपने स्टूडेंट्स को बहुत ज्यादा एंगेज करते हैं, उनको बहुत काम देते हैं, और उनके स्टूडेंट्स भी वो काम करते हैं. हमने यहाँ पे स्टूडेंट्स को बिल्कुल ही ऐसे कागज प्लेट के ऊपर रख के डिग्री देने का काम किया, राइट. उनके जो उनके पास कम से कम हर एक जगह पे 5 से 10 क्लब्स. दीज क्लब्स आर फॉर लिटरेरी राइटिंग्स, फॉर फिल्म शोज, फॉर डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ स्पोर्ट्स, फॉर साइंटिफिक आइडियाज. हर तरह के कोई भी बच्चा कोई भी क्लब बना सकता है. तो वो एक्टिविटीज कर रहे हैं. जो बड़े बच्चे होते हैं, बड़ी क्लासों के, वो छोटी क्लासों को मेंटोर करते हैं. एक टीचर होता है, वो थोड़ा उनको गाइड करता है, right? The thing is, these structures can be made, these platforms can be made. मेन काम होता है कि प्लेटफॉर्म बनाना. तो जो हमारे प्रिंसिपल्स होते हैं, जो हमारे लीडर्स होते हैं, या जो भी हमारे हेड ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट्स होते हैं, उनका मेन काम है इस तरह के प्लेटफॉर्म क्रिएट करना. तो स्टूडेंट आपसे ही काम करेंगे, जिस आपको कुछ भी करने की जरूरत नहीं. यू ओनली नीड टू गिव देम सम गाइडेंस. उनको फैसिलिटेट कर दो, उनको आइडिया दे दो. They would come. I know of many. For example, you can. When I conduct my programs, I always involve participants, and I find कि जो participants हैं वो इतना बेहतर काम आपको करके देते हैं, and they bring in so many ideas. They will give you such ideas जो मेरे को कभी भी नहीं personally आ सकते. They will bring so many ideas because they are new generation. They are more tech savvy. उनको बहुत सारी चीजें पता होती हैं, and it is always कि बहुत सारे लोग जब काम करते हैं तो वो एक आदमी से बेहतर ही होता है. So it is only mind shift. अच्छा, हम स्टूडेंट्स को कुछ भी एम्पावरमेंट करना ही नहीं चाहते. हमें लगता है कि जी सब कुछ हम ही करेंगे, स्टूडेंट को दे दिया तो बिगड़ जाएगा. ऐसे नहीं होता. We have to empower.
Yes, ma'am. Even freshers party भी अरेंज कराए तो टीचर्स को बीच में होल्ड करने के लिए बोलते हैं.
That is wrong, right? हाँ, बिल्कुल. एक्चुअली ये जो फ्रेशर्स पार्टी वगैरह अरेंज करते हैं ना, इनको करके ही उनको ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्किल्स आते हैं. और ऐसा बहुत सारी जगहों पे मैंने बहुत सारी बायोग्राफीज में ऐसे डिस्कशन पढ़ी है कि जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल दिस पर्सन जिसने फोर्टिस हॉस्पिटल बनाया है, आई डोंट रिमेम्बर कि वो फोर्टिस था या कोई और हॉस्पिटल की बहुत बड़ी चेन. ही इज अ बिजनेसमैन. सो उसने कहा है कि जब सबसे पहले उसने कॉलेज में एक बार इस तरह की पार्टी अरेंज की थी पहली बार फ्रेशर पार्टी या वेलकम पार्टी या जो कुछ भी. So after that he got a taste of this, ये organizational तरीका करने का कि कैसे चीजें arrange कर, उसको इसका sense आ गया, and then he continued on that road. So we don't
Event
know,
management.
right, that how much skills we are giving. जब उनको पार्टी अरेंज करनी पड़ती है, पैसे इकट्ठे करने पड़ते हैं, सब कुछ अरेंजमेंट कर, they do them very beautifully and very responsibly. So teacher is only there to see उनको वो ethical और moral और तरीके से वो काम करे, but not much interference has to be done. Student को अपना mind use करने दो, अपना thinking करने दो, right? So experiential बहुत ज्यादा available है, और ये आजकल तो देखिए इंटरनेट पे ही आपको there are so many ideas which are there, and also again and again I insist, मेरा हमेशा ये रहता है एंगल कि उसमें फालतू पैसा भी नहीं खर्च होना चाहिए और उसके ऊपर फालतू टाइम भी नहीं खर्च होना चाहिए. मतलब ये नहीं है कि टीचर सारा दिन बैठ के अगर एक्सपेरिएंशियल लर्निंग कर रहा है तो कोई भी टीचर उसको नहीं करेगा. सो व्हाट आई ऑलवेज इंसिस्ट ऑन इज डूइंग थिंग्स व्हिच आर इजी टू डू इन स्मॉल स्टेप्स, इन वेरी स्मॉल स्टेप्स. मतलब मैं अगर आपको कहूँ कि अगर हफ्ते में आप 1 घंटा दे दो फॉर दिस, मे बी यू वुड बी रेडी टू गिव, राइट? सो 1 घंटा तो कोई भी दे सकता है ना, हफ्ते में 15 दिन में 1 घंटा कोई भी दे सकता है. सो इस ऐसा काम करें, ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म्स बनाएं जिसमें इतना इजी हो काम करें, राइट? बिकॉज अल्टीमेट ऑल सेड एंड डन, जब हम ये बड़ी बड़ी बातें कर लेते हैं तो सारी चीज एक्चुअली लॉजिस्टिक पे आके रुक जाती है, राइट? हर एक आदमी फिर लॉजिस्टिक्स पे आके बात रुक जाती है. सो वी हैव टू टैकल दैट थिंग. यस प्लीज, यस राखी जी. और
वो बस यही है कि सिलेबस इतनी ज्यादा भगाने होते हैं और सेमेस्टर सिस्टम्स में वी हार्डली गेट सम टाइम कि ऐसी कोई एक्स्ट्रा चीज ये वही नहीं मुश्किल से खत्म होते हैं. और आप देखो कि अब तो आजकल बहुत ही गड़बड़ रही है ऑनलाइन सिस्टम में, तो ये सब चीजों को करने का ना ये कागज पे रह जाती हैं, ये असल में हकीकत में नहीं हो पाती हैं. ये थोड़ी
आंसर वो इसलिए क्योंकि आप सिलेबस पूरा करना किसको कहते हो? सिलेबस पूरा करना ये है कि टीचर खड़े होके अपने मुंह से एक बार सारी की सारी बात जो है वो बोलेगा, है ना? दिस इज व्हाट इज पूरा करना. वहां पे राइट. अब मैं आपको ये कहती हूँ कि स्टूडेंट्स कैन लर्न ऑल बाय देमसेल्व्स, राइट? अब इसका एक अभी तो टाइम भी नहीं रहा, बट आई विल जस्ट गिव यू दिस थिंग दैट जो लर्निंग है, स्टूडेंट की लर्निंग जो है वो एक बहुत ब्यूटीफुल लैंडस्केप में से गुजरता है. जैसे एक बच्चा तो वो गुजरता है, उसके फॉरेस्ट्स हैं, रिवर्स हैं, बहुत ब्यूटीफुल लैंडस्केप है, तो वो देखता देखता सीखता सीखता चलता है, और वो सब अपने आप से सीख सकता है, अपने आप से चल सकता है. फिर बीच में जब जाते जाते उसको एक गेट मिलता है, देयर इज अ पोर्टल, राइट? दैट पोर्टल उसके ऊपर ताला लगा हुआ है, उसको वो खोल नहीं सकता, राइट? देन द टीचर इज देयर. वहां पे टीचर आके उसके गेट को खोल देता है, चाबी देता है उसको, और उसको क्रॉस कर देता है. क्रॉस करने के बाद फिर एक लंबा रास्ता आता है, तो वहां पे फिर वो अकेले चल सकता है. अगर जो टीचर, जहां पे स्टूडेंट कल्ला चल सकता है, अगर टीचर उसको गोदी में उठा के चलता है तो वो उस बच्चे को अपाहिज बनाता है. सो मोस्ट ऑफ द सिलेबस दैट वी डू, वी टीच टू द स्टूडेंट्स. 90% of the syllabus they are able to do themselves. There are some portals in between जहां पे टीचर की जरूरत पड़ती है. आप सिर्फ उन पोर्टल्स पे उनकी फैसिलिटेशन करो, राइट? आई थिंक कैन बी इजीली डन. यस प्लीज.
यस. बच्चे भी स्पून फीडिंग कई बार उनको हमने ही शायद वो जो आपका था ना, यू हैव प्रिपेयर्ड देयर माइंडसेट एज सच कि जो अगर वो फिर भी बोलेंगे आपने ये क्लास में बोला नहीं था, पढ़ाया नहीं था, तो ये करना है. अभी हमारे बच्चे उस स्टेज पे ही हैं,
बिकॉज हमने उनको बनाया. बस ये स्पून फीडिंग की तो पूरी की पूरी हमारी वो है. और यू वुड ऑल्सो सी दैट दिस टाइम इज कमिंग, ये जो ऑनलाइन का टाइम है, और अब आगे भी बहुत सारी स्टडीज जो है, जैसे स्वयं पोर्टल है या आपके मूक्स हैं, ये तो वो चीजें हैं जिसमें सेल्फ स्टडी के बिना बच्चा चल ही नहीं सकता. जब उनको इतनी स्पून फीडिंग की आदत पड़ जाएगी, आप सोचो कि वो रियल वर्ल्ड में जाके क्या करेंगे फिर.
You mean to say कि हमें डेलीगेट कर देनी चाहिए कि these many chapters or portions you should do on your own. ये ऐसे नहीं है कि
there is, yeah, right, there is a technique also. कोई और भी पूछ रही है, मैडम पूछ रही है कि what is the, how can we not do spoon feeding. पहली बात तो मैडम, जैसे मैंने पहले आपको बताया कि जो पहले दिन जब स्टूडेंट आते हैं ना आपके पास, उस दिन आप एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लिख लो उनके पास रिलेशनशिप का. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ये है कि मैं तुम्हारे को कोई भी स्पून फीडिंग नहीं करूंगी, ठीक है? आप उनको लिख के दे दो, उनसे साइन करा दो. उसके बाद आप उनको ये बोलो कि इफ यू हैव अ जेन्युइन प्रॉब्लम, आई एम देयर टू हेल्प, बट आई विल नॉट गिव यू एनीथिंग, इस तरह से नहीं दूंगी। आप उनकी सब तरह की हेल्प करो। उनको बोलो, आप खुद से सिलेबस बोल दो कि ये सिलेबस का टेस्ट लेना है, कौन सी डेट पे लेना है, क्या असाइनमेंट देनी है, बट असाइनमेंट की डेडलाइन अगर दी है तो उस दिन सब जमा करो, राइट। सेकेंड थिंग इज, एक होता है आपका फ्लिप्ड क्लासरूम करके टेक्निक, फ्लिप्ड क्लासरूम, राइट, बहुत फेमस है आजकल, तो बहुत ही ज्यादा फेमस है ये फ्लिप्ड क्लासरूम। नाउ इन अ फ्लिप्ड क्लासरूम व्हाट हैपेंस इज, स्टूडेंट पहले घर से चैप्टर पढ़ के आता, टीचर बिल्कुल चैप्टर नहीं पढ़ाता उसको, क्लास का जो टाइम है दैट इज यूज्ड इन डिस्कशन, क्लैरिफिकेशंस एंड ग्रुप टीम वर्क। आप उनको बोलो कि आप घर से, ये तो फॉरेन कंट्रीज में या बहुत डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज में इसी तरह से, वो कभी भी नहीं टीचर उनको खड़े होकर लेसन नहीं पढ़ाते।
यस मैम,
लेसन पढ़ के आओ, लेसन पढ़ने पे हम टाइम नहीं बिताए, यू गो होम एंड स्टडी द होल लेसन, you come with your ideas, you come with your suggestions, you come with your clarifications and doubts and questions, I will deal with those। आप क्लास का सारा टाइम जो है वो डिस्कशन में यूज करो। ये फ्लिप क्लासरूम बहुत ज्यादा आजकल पॉपुलर हो रही है, एंड दीज आर गुड टूल्स। आप ऐसे करो ना, सारा अगर आपने 5 दिन नहीं करना है ऐसा काम, तो कम से कम 2 दिन करो। धीरे धीरे स्टूडेंट को भी जो देखो, उनको जो ड्रग्स की आदत पड़ी हुई है, वो एकदम से आप करोगे तो विड्रॉल सिम्पटम आ जाएंगे उनको। So you have to do it gradually. You have to do it gradually, and you have to tell also.
एक चीज ना मैम, बच्चों को हम ये बोलते हैं ना प्रेजेंटेशंस दो, बच्चे प्रेजेंटेशंस दे, तो समटाइम्स द रेस्ट ऑफ द क्लास दे आर नॉट कंफर्टेबल बिकॉज दे आर स्टिल नॉट स्किल्ड टू टीच देयर पीयर्स। तो समटाइम्स वी आल्सो फील कि इन्होंने अच्छा से तो कराया नहीं, तो वो डबल ही टाइम लग जाता है, ऐसे होता है ना। तो फिर वो वाला
टीचर का रिप्लेसमेंट नहीं है, प्रेजेंटेशन इज नॉट अ रिप्लेसमेंट ऑफ टीचर्स वर्क।
कि हम नहीं, टीचर का रिप्लेसमेंट नहीं है, पर मुझे लगता है वो, हमें लगता है रहने देते इसको, वो उसका हम बोलते हैं ना लिखने में, मैम हम उसमें लिखते हैं कि हम ये करवाते हैं वो करवाते हैं, पर असल में क्या होता है, फिर लगता है नहीं तू रहने दे, हम ही करवा देते हैं।
और दूसरा, जब वो इंटरनेट से ही उठा के उन्होंने लिखना है, तो फिर उनकी क्या ही वैल्यू एडिशन हो रही है। मेरा सिर्फ कहने का एक छोटा सा मतलब, सारी बातों का एक ही मैं पॉइंट निकाल के आपको बोल रही हूँ, whatever you do it in a way so that they are authentic outcomes। चाहे छोटा काम करो, इतना छोटा सा 1 घंटे का काम करो, but do it in a way that there are authentic outcomes। So I will stop here now. If you have any more questions, right, because these discussions actually continue throughout, and these can continue and we can talk, and there would be, जैसे मैंने कहा कि हमेशा डिस्कशन के बिना कभी भी एकेडमिक्स नहीं चल सकती है, और टीचर्स के लिए डिस्कशन करना बहुत जरूरी होता है, सो दैट दे कैन एक्सचेंज देयर व्यूज, सो दैट दे कैन वैलिडेट देयर व्यूज, राइट। सो आई हैव गिवन यू माय email, so if you have any discussion to do, if you want to any issue you want to bring up, please feel free, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for this informative session. In fact, we can now see the teaching in a new light. As a teacher, we realize that our duty is not only transferring of knowledge, but it is reflection, voicing, discussion, and it is necessary for connecting with the larger aspects, as you have said, ma'am. And we think that the people who are engaged in education like us, they should find the ways to integrate interdisciplinary and systematic approach for teaching to make the world a better place. Thank you, ma'am. And I hope that this discussion will continue in future also. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Shomita ma'am, all are requested to please turn on your camera for photograph.
Okay, ma'am, please.
Yes, please. I am there.
Participants, please.
It is done, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
I hope we meet offline also. Thank you.
Yes.
Right? And my lunch is due.
Yes, ma'am, anytime. You're most welcome. We'll invite you specially. Thank you. So at what time we are going to meet now? 3
At
o'clock.
3? Okay.
हाँ ठीक है कर दे announce शोभिता.
Okay, participants, we are going to meet at 3 o'clock. We are having a lunch break now. And after that, we will